for this. Hello, everyone. I'm glad that you're here. It's going to be fun, I hope, and maybe you'll see some things you haven't seen before, maybe not. The convention was supposed to have a display based on horses, carnival glass with horses, or something that related to horses. And so we have some of those pieces displayed here for my collection. Obviously, if this had been at the convention, there would have been many more pieces, but we've got a variety of colors and shapes, and so we can do a pretty interesting thing. What I think is kind of interesting to me is I sort of opened my mouth, and that's how I got involved in doing this. I had heard that the horse medallion, which is the ones here in front, was based on a painting by a famous artist, John Frederick Henning. I didn't know that there was a senior and junior. And at the time, I'd been working with something, and I happen to have a picture. However, it's painted by John Frederick Henning Jr., and it's an original. And so you can see the picture of this horse here. And I said, this might be something interesting. And Brian said, can you talk about the artists? So we're going to do a little bit about that. We'll talk more about this in a second. But here you have the picture that these are based on. It's right there. You can see it quite plainly, I hope. And that is Pharaoh's Chariot horses. I always forget the middle word. Pharaoh's as I said, I forget. Chariot horses. The only difference is it goes the opposite direction of the horses on the horse medallion. So let's talk a little bit about him first, and then I'll talk a little bit about his son, and we'll then get started with the glass. So John Frederick Henning Sr. was born September 17th, 95, and he died 1865. So he was about 70 years old. I'm going to refer to him as John Sr. rather than saying the whole name. He painted this painting in 1848, the one with the horses on that we've copied, and it was kind of a good thing. I can also tell you that in 1836, he amended his signature and added the SR because his son was becoming famous and he had some competition there. That would be John Jr. I can tell you a little bit more about him. He was a painter of signs and inns and coach insignia on the sides of coaches. He also had an employment as a night coach driver. He spent his time painting portraits of horses for inns and became known as the artist coachman. Sorry, I'm reading some of this, but I can't remember all the dates. This talent was recognized by the wealthy customers, and he began painting hunters and racehorses for the wealthy. An interesting thing to me is that one of those people was W.T. Copeland, who was involved with the Copeland Spode Bone China Company, and he also used some of John Sr.'s paintings for on his china. It would be interesting if any of you have china that Spode that might have some horses on it. It might be from the same artist. In 1845, he was appointed animal painter to the Duchess of Kent, followed by subsequent commission from the ruling Queen Victoria, who remained a patron for the rest of his life. He was a highly skillful and prolific artist. He was one of the more eminent animal painters of mid-19th century Europe. So that's about enough of the history there. If you look at things, I had a number of these printed off. That's just a print, but it's interesting. And I think it was probably originally done in color. I couldn't find anything, but I did get this little picture with color. You can see the blue ocean in the back and the grass. And then the only difference that I see, if you look closely at the picture, you can see like right here, there's like a ribbon tied around their head, I think. And that's not on the thing, but that would be a very delicate detail to do. So I think it's interesting that with that. Now let's talk a little bit about John Frederick Henning Jr., who was born in 1820. I will tell you that there is the possibility that he was born in 1815. His first son, John Sr., was born in 1815, and they called him John Frederick Herring Jr. But we believe that he died, and so when his second son was born in 1820, he was named that. Same name. He learned from his father's mastery of the brush and the popularity with the nobility. That served John Jr. very well, and because he was exposed to those wealthy patrons and lots of paintings. His two brothers were also, Charles and Benjamin, were also painters, and they often collaborated on a single painting. I think that's about enough information about him, but let's talk about this a little bit. The picture here that I have was painted in 1828. John Jr. was 8 years old at the time, which I think is kind of amazing. It's signed by him. It's signed John Frederick Herring Jr., and it has the date there. My mother bought this, I have no idea how long ago. I have no idea what she paid for it. I don't think anyone knew that it was an artist that at least at one time had some fame. She wanted the picture frame. She took the picture out, saved it for some reason or other. The picture is painted on walnut wood. There are some little wormholes in it from the back. The back is convex in shape. It's not flat. The front is perfectly flat. And she put the picture someplace. I don't know when the picture came to my house, but the frame and the needlepoint that she made to go in it came to my house when they no longer lived at home. And so I hung it on the wall. Well, I'd see that picture of the horse every time I looked in the cupboard. And I said, you know, I ought to put that back in the frame and do something else with the needlepoint. And it's interesting because I'm guessing that some of these things came to my house. I know a lot of them did. In 1990 or 91, when my parents had a house fire, the adjuster let me clean all of the glass, china, silver, lamps, everything. And there were two picture frames that needed to be regilded. One was a large frame with a mirror in it, and another one was just more delicate with a nice picture. At least it's colorful. It's not worth anything. But I had to get the frames regilded. And I found a place in Ann Arbor that did framing and also did gilding. And so I took those two frames to them, and they did a very fine job. I have used them many, many times. I have pictures of family going back to my great-great-grandfather, some of them in old frames, some of them in new frames. A couple of the etchings were framed in the same frame, but with a mat to protect the painting and the etching, and a couple other things were done that also. She often talked me into putting new glass over some of them. I was not real keen on that because I kind of liked the bubbles in the old, but it was supposed to be better to protect the picture. So when I was doing things with her, one of the people in the firm retired, and I got a call about 2 years ago that said, this was Jordan who was left. She said, I'm retiring in a couple months. If you have anything to do, you better bring it in and let me do it. And I thought, you know, I'm going to take that horse picture in. So I took the needlepoint out, I reblocked it so it could be put in a different frame. I got that in a new frame, and I had her put this back in. She was really impressed with this frame because of the weight, from the way it's constructed. It's a very interesting frame. It's really fairly heavy, and the picture impressed her also. And I think when you think about it, she did a lot of work for the Art Museum at U of M. She's exposed to a lot of fine paintings. I don't know if this is worth anything. I've never looked it up. I really don't care. I just think it's neat. And so it hangs on the wall in our living room. And it's very pretty frame. I'm impressed with that. But let's forget the pictures. Let's go on with the glass. So let's talk about some of the horse medallion pieces. Let's look at just shapes. We're not going to talk about color right now. We'll come back and we'll show you some colors, and we'll try to demonstrate them very well. First, you have a rose bowl. This happens to be marigold. It has nice iridescence. It's very well shaped. It's a good molding because the horses show up very, very well. So we have a rose bowl. We also have a nut bowl. Here is a nut bowl. It has 3 feet also. This one happens to be aqua. I think you can see that. It's really a good one. It's got nice iridescence. It's kind of shiny. I wouldn't call it radium, but it's a little more shiny than some of these pieces. And so I think that that's something we should talk about. These were made by Fenton between 1912 and 1920. It's my understanding that's the years when those were made. So we talked about two shapes here now. Let's go to the Jack in the Pulpit shape. This one is amber. We're just mentioning that briefly. You can see we have the up and the down. And this seems to be the shape that I have the most of. I'm not sure if it's the most plentiful one, but guessing from what I have, it possibly is. Then there's this shape, which this is my favorite one of these. The iridescence is very nice. It's ice cream shaped, as you can see here. It's green, and it's satiny, and it's just the way I would like it to look. The detail on the hair on the horses is very, very good. Another shape is this, which is just with a regular brie on the back. The back pattern is very in leaf circles, and I have it in blue and orange, and blue and green, sorry. This one is the plate. It's in marigold. This is a plate in custard glass with red stain. That was made about 1915 by Fenton. And then this one is powder blue. I keep wanting to say something else, and I have to think about that every time I do it. So as far as shapes go, we have one other kind of thing, and we'll look at this piece a little bit here now also. The Celeste blue piece is square. It's very stretchy in its iridescence, but the squareness is very unique, I think, because everything else seems to be so round. And I think this one has a tendency to lean towards square. It's just ruffled, but it is a slightly different shape than the others. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about colors. What are some of the colors here? Well, I showed you aqua, so you have seen that, and you know that it's aqua very plainly there. I think you can see. I'll try to make this good. This is one of my favorites. It's kind of hard for me to show you the color, but this is the one I want to show you. If you can see the color there, it is red as can be. It is so dark when you just look at the back, you almost would think it's black, but when you shine the light through, it turns very red. The other thing, I'm sorry that you probably won't be able to see this, but this is a little bit of a slag appearance in the Marie, but a couple of the feet, if I can show it to you, are completely different. They're more of a caramel color. To me, that's about the color it is. And two of the feet have something like that. This one is almost all that way. You can see the red, you can see the lines, but I know it's difficult for you to see that in the video. What other colors do we have here? Well, you can't miss Vaseline with these. There's a lot of those. Here's one that's clearly Vaseline. You can see how yellow it is. It seems to be more yellow than green to me. And it definitely glows in the black light. And so there's no doubt in my mind. I use Tom Burns's method for determining whether it's Vaseline or lime green. He says if it's slightly more green, it has to be lime green. So we might as well talk about that now. This is a nut bowl. It is more green in the appearance of the feet particularly. It glows very well. But I think that one is lime green, and that's what I label it. The other colors that I think are interesting to talk about, I showed you the amber one. I'll try to get the color better this time. But if you look at the feet, I don't want that flashlight. If you look at the feet, you can see that it's really quite amberish. It's hard to get the light shining in just the right way, but it is definitely amber. Now, sometimes when you buy things at auctions that you're not attending, you really don't know what they are. This one was listed as pink, and it could very well be. When I see this, I think, oh, that looks sort of pink. But the feet look more like amber to me, and I know that's probably not something you can see perfectly well. I'd like you to be able to see it better. So I put pink, amber, with a question mark after it. And whenever somebody else gets it, they can call it whatever color they would desire. Then you can go with this particular one. This one I have sort of borderline as to what the color is. It was listed as teal green. The first person I showed it to after I got it said, yeah, it's green. It also said it was an odd green in the description. So I thought, okay, what color is it? Well, if you look at it just right, it's definitely different than the other greens. And if I compare it with another green, which I'm going to do right now, you will see that it is clearly more blue, darker than the other green, which is green as grass. And so it could very well be teal, but just at a first glance, I think you would have to call it just an odd green. Okay, what other colors would you like to see? We talked about amber, we talked about lime green, red. So we've got a variety of colors here. As I said, this is blue. The blue ones, this blue here, this rose bowl in blue is just so dark and beautiful. It's just amazing to me, the color in that. And the color inside is a little less variety of iridescence that I would like. But this blue is just pretty. It's not quite as clear a mold. You can't really see the hairs on the tops of the horse's head, but the iridescence makes it pretty nice. And here's the back pattern, berry and leaf circles. And you can see the blue there also. So we won't take the green one down, but we'll move clear over to here to this one, the plate. It's powder blue, I believe. And if I can show you the color, which I think I've been able to do, you can see that it's a lighter blue than the blue that I just showed you there on the base. And there's the leaf and berry and leaf circles on the back. This is really pretty. The iridescence is nice. You can see the mane on the horses. I like the iridescence. I like the green around in the circles around the horse heads. It's just a pretty piece. They're about 7 inches, I think, in diameter. So that takes care of pretty much what I think I can say about the pieces here. We talked a little, I showed you the Celeste blue. That's very stretchy. None of the other pieces have that much stretch in the iridescence, but it is a pretty nice piece of glass, and I like the square. It stands out dramatically, I think, in my mind. Okay, let's talk about this nice little tumbler here. This is listed as a Horseshoe Bar Tumbler. It has a horseshoe on the base, which I think you probably can see right there. The close end of the horseshoe is at the top. In the inside, it has ribs. They go from the top to the bottom. They're curved at the top and straight at the bottom. I don't know if the inside pattern has a name. Probably would be plain ribs or something like that if it did. And I do not know who made it. I believe that it was made at possibly later in the Carnival glass era. I'm not sure about that. Okay, let's look at ponies next. There's not as many colors here for the ponies, but we have some nice ones. This is an ice cream shaped one. This is marigold. This is aqua. I'm going to pick them up and show them to you closer. This is ice green, very stretchy, and that is amethyst. The two here are both with 10 ruffles. The one that's amethyst is much flatter. I think you can see that in the display here. This only has 6 ruffles, and this one is ice cream shaped. You'll be surprised when I tell you probably that the ice cream shaped one is my favorite. I like the shape. I like the way it shows the notches on the edge, which I think are quite unique. It shows the Greek key around the horse head very well. And you can get a glimpse of the iridescence. It's great in the circle in the middle. And on the outside, every one of these all the way around is shaped like a end of a paper clip, round on the outside, all the same colors. It's just really, I'm trying to tilt it so that maybe you can see that, but I don't think we're succeeding very well. But I think it's the color, the iridescence, the shape, the edge, it just sets that apart for me. This is the aqua one with 6 ruffles. Again, this is made by Dugan. It is very pretty. The iridescence is super good. You can see the aqua color there quite well, I think. And this is very nice. The notches are a little bit less distinct on this, but they're still there. That, I think, is a good thing. Okay. Now, this is the one that always gives me fits. Putting it back in its little stand there. This is the ice green one. It's a very light ice green. The iridescence is very, very stretchy. I don't think there's any way I can display that to you. You might just see that it's more stretchy here, but I'm not sure I can, but whether you can or not, here it shows. And it doesn't have a very intense iridescence, but it's clearly there, and it's a 10 ruffles. This is higher than the next one I'm going to show you. So let's just look at that and see where we go from there. These 10 ruffle ones do not like to fit in stands. This one is much flatter. You can see that when you look at it here. It's 10 ruffles. You can see the Greek key very well. And again, the iridescence is very nice. On this particular piece, the horse is more radium, more shiny, and the rest of it is very satin, lots of blues and greens and reds. A lot of greens around the outer edge and some blues also. So I think that's a really pretty piece. I like that. And it is definitely amethyst. Purple, if you would prefer. Another thing that the first time I bought one of these is on the inside of the Marie, there's a big bump, which relates to the indent right here between the reins and the horse's chin, neck. And it just is something, when I felt that, I thought, what is that bump? And then I realized, with a little thinking, you can discover some things that you would like to know, I'm sure, or should know. And that fits better in the thing, in the brace, in the stand. So this one is the Polo Ashtray. I've had this for quite a long time. It's not an expensive piece. I believe it was from the Depression glass era. Don't know who made it. Maybe somebody else does. The iridescence in the base here is spectacular. The outside is just a little bit more gold. No real colors there, which makes the color on the inside stand out. That's a nice piece to have, even though I think it's the most common one that exists. Then the other piece, oh, I forgot to do one, so I want to do that now. I made a recent acquisition, and it is a pony piece. It's contemporary. I think it's interesting to contrast the contemporary to the classic ones. It's red. It's very shiny. It was made by Lbj, I think in 2004, and it, I believe, is number 90 out of 100 that were made. It's definitely red. You can see the shininess. This edge is more rounded. It's not as distinct as on the cusp, or as on the ice cream shaped piece. If you can sort of see the difference just in looking at the edge, this is just more round and this is more straight. It's just a little different. It definitely is one way that you could tell that it was. And since I just recently got this, I did not have time to put it in the display, but I thought it was worth talking about the contrast. That leaves only Jockey Club. And I have 2 pieces up here. There's also a ruffled bowl downstairs in the display. These are entirely different in color. This is the hand grip piece. I like it. Nice iridescence, lots of blues, lots of greens and red. Basket weave back, made by Northwood. Typical pattern that they used frequently on some of their things. The horseshoe, this pattern may have been used for additional things, and it may be what Good Luck started from. I have those pieces also, but I didn't think about bringing them up. I could have easily done that, but then you're getting a little too close to what we weren't supposed to have. This is a plate, I believe. I think I can call it that safely. It's not the flattest plate I've ever seen. It's not as flat as the other small pieces, but it's less than 2 inches. It is very, very light in color. If you can see any of that through there, it's definitely more what I would call lavender than amethyst. But it is kind of pretty with the iridescence. And so it's a plate that's very light in color. And I think that's pretty nice. It fits into my collection. If I ever see a flatter one, I will buy it. And then we'll call that a bowl. But right now it's listed as a plate. So that really takes care of everything here. Just remember that this painting, I do have a few prints that I made that aren't perfect, but if anybody wants them, I'll gladly send them to you by email or by mail. Probably would be better than just taking another picture of them. But if you want a picture of this, I could do that. I could do the other horse. I have pictures of that. And we could share those online if you wanted me to do that. So I wish you had questions. If you do, I'd gladly try to answer them, but I'm sure there are people that are have more expertise on these patterns and on these. I know there aren't very many colors in the pony pieces. And so that's about all I have to say. Thank you, and you have a great evening. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of summer, and everything will be fine. Just have a good time and work at it and enjoy everything. I work in my roses. I have 76 rose bushes to take care of, plus flowers and garden. And the winter was so mild that some things I thought were going to make it, not the whole plant, but the branch here or there, and they're not doing so well because we had 3 late frosts. And so I was doing a little trimming and just normal maintenance for roses. Thank you. Have a great evening, and we'll see you soon.
Good afternoon, Carnival glass lovers, and welcome to the ICGA display room on the horse medallion pattern made by Fenton. It was Fenton's number 1665, made in multicolors and several different shapes, but not excessive. I think most of the shapes are from a small-footed bowl pattern, and the other shapes are plates. And some of the pieces are on collar base and some of the pieces are footed. So we have a couple items to show you from our collection. Some of these shapes you may see from other people who will be displaying also. Eunice is showing you the horse medallion plate. The horse medallion pattern, the medallion pattern was named by Mrs. Presnick in her book 1. Mrs. Hartung called it horses' heads. And the back pattern is a question, turn around, because Mrs. Hartung showed the back pattern, but did not specifically name it. Now, somewhere along, Mrs. Presnick does not even make a reference to it. Somewhere along the line, I've heard it called horse chestnut, and I've heard it called leaf and berry circle or berry and leaf circle, but I can't find the information where the person actually named it that and who that person might be. So sometime we hope to get that information and have it on file. This is the only plate we have. It also comes in blue, and in another section that the Cronins are furnishing, you will see a beautiful blue plate. So you'll see that in another section. The other piece we want to show you is the blue horse's head horse medallion rose bowl. It's a very, very pretty blue, very pure. And the back pattern on these pieces are a wide panel. The rose bowl comes in lots of different colors. And one shape I don't think I mentioned was the Jack in the Pulpit. We do not have an example of that, but there are many shapes, many colors in the Jack in the Pulpit shape, which you will see when you see the Cronin collection. Horse's head is a very popular pattern. It is collected by many people, and they have specialized in just that pattern. And some of the colors are phenomenal. hopefully you will see some pieces from the David Castor collection, and his colors are amazing, and you will really enjoy seeing those pieces. We're going to move on to another pattern, which I did not ask anyone to show, because had we done that, it would have overwhelmed everything, and that's the Good Luck pattern by Northwood. We are going to show you our electric blue pie crust edge piece in Good Luck, and the Good Luck pieces all have the horseshoe in the center with the riding crop or a whip underneath the horseshoe. And this pattern could go on and on and on, so we did not include it. We wanted to limit our talk to just the horse's head. And the sister pattern, the back pattern on this piece is a ribbing, and I believe I counted 27 ribs, which is an odd number, but that's what I counted. A sister pattern to the horse's head pattern is the pony. We have an ice green 10 ruffle pony bowl, which you've also seen if you've been able to look at the Steve Gregg collection. Steve has a huge collection of many pieces, shapes, and colors, and he did a wonderful job in telling us all the information about his pieces. But we wanted to show you just our pony bowl. And we do have an amethyst bowl, but it's packed away in the collection of one of our sons. Now we have some odd, unusual pieces. Of course, we're kind of known for having some odd and unusual pieces, but two very beautiful, hard to find miniature pieces, the medallions, are the Bridal Rosettes. We happen to be very, very fortunate in owning two of the Bridal Rosettes. Which one do you have?
Flower.
You're waving it all over.
Oh, I'm trying to get
First one Eunice is showing is a floral pattern, and I'm not sure if it has an exact name. These are on a medium green background color, and they are, if you look at the back, and I don't know if it will show in the picture, it is just literally full of bubbles. And each of the pieces has a flaw on the edge of the glass, and the flaw is in exactly the same spot on the two pieces. And I'm assuming that if these were used in a horse's bridle, there was something in that bridle that caused the pieces to get a little damage in the same location. The other horse, but bridle, I can't remember Bridal Rosette. The other Bridal Rosette is a very interesting piece because it contains the configuration of the Popeye head with the pipe and the cap and everything. Oh yeah, there. As I said, there are only a few of these pieces known. I don't know how many were made, but obviously if they were used in the barn and with farmers and horses, they were not considered very valuable and probably got broken and just tossed. But a few people were diligent enough to save theirs, and some of us are lucky enough to have them in our collections. The next we're going to go to is maybe a little bit off subject, but still related to horses. And that's piece we call, is that the lace of the star? This is what we call a cowboy boot. And we happen to have this particular one Eunice is showing you, and on the bottom of it, near the toe, I hope you can see there's a star embedded in the pattern. But it is there. It's a little hard. It's hard to see with the naked eye, and I don't know how it's going to come out with the camera. The other two are a similar shape, but they're a little different because they have laces on the front and down to the bottom. Lbj Hat. The other piece is just a little maybe off pattern, but this is the Lbj hat in the shape of a sombrero or a cowboy hat. So that kind of goes along when we think about horses.
It's an ashtray.
It's an ashtray, yes. Now, I'm a tumbler collector, and along the way in collecting my tumblers, we found this piece. You should show the other one first. This is listed in the literature as the horseshoe shot glass or horseshoe bar glass because it's a very simple ribbed tumbler, but in the bottom is a very nicely embedded horseshoe. Okay. Now, along that line, we found this pattern. The ribbing is a little different on the top of the pattern, back a little, as it has short panels at the bottom that are a little wider and very distinct. The marigold iridizing on it is not very good, but it's there. But then on the bottom of this one, in addition to having a horseshoe, it has a star in the middle of the horseshoe. Now, Kathy and Galen last night helped me try to find some information on this piece. They did find some pictures of it, but it was clear glass and said that it was used in the old coffee grinders. So that doesn't make much sense when you talk about horseshoes using in a coffee grinder, but sometimes things don't have to make much sense.
Okay.
Those are the only pieces we're going to show you today. We hope that you will be sure and look at the Steve Grigman seminar that he gave, and it's very well done, and it shows a great accumulation of patterns and colors, and he also shows some different pony pieces. So enjoy those, and the Cronin seminar is going to be on very shortly, and the Cronin seminar will show you many pieces, or not many pieces, maybe about 12 different shots of things, but some very nice different colors and beautiful shapes. And I hope that you've enjoyed this ICGA Horses seminar. And I'm just so very sorry that we couldn't be doing this in person because we miss everyone. And Brian, that's about all I have to say.
That's all we have.
Okay. Hello, my name is David Castor, and Carl asked me to show some of my horse medallion pieces. Let's see. First, a collared bowl, collar-based bowl in Amberina. Hold it up here. You know, I think a lot of people might call this red. Does tend to be yellow towards the edge and the base. All right, here's a Jack in the Pulpit, ball-footed. This one is amethyst and has swirl effect in the base. A little hard to see, but I think you can see a little bit of that. There have been several pieces out there recently that have shown up with this swirl in them. And next I just have a ruffled footed bowl, amethyst, really pretty. Again, amethyst. Let's see, in rose bowls, see, I have an aqua one. Sometimes people might call this one, you know, sapphire or celeste, but I'm pretty sure I would call it aqua. I have a lime green Vaseline, the marigold overlay. This one glows, if I can get it to show. It doesn't show very well. And finally, I have a red one. Not many of these out there. I think there are only less than a handful, maybe 3. Plates. This really pretty amethyst one that I got at the that one's amethyst. And I have a real pretty powder blue also. Right. Finally, I have this really pretty Celeste blue. Got lots of stretch effect. Tri-corner. I don't think there are any other tri-corner shaped bowls out there. Who would like to know if there are? Anyway, that's my display. Thanks for listening.
Okay, we'd like to start with a little horsey joke here to get the mood right for everybody that might be listening in. A talking horse walked into a bar one day and asked for the manager. Manager came out and the talking horse said, "I'd like to apply for a job here, sir, if you have an opening." Manager looked at him and he said, "Well, you know, I think you'd be better off if you went to the circus." "The circus? Why on earth would I want to go to the circus? They certainly don't need a bartender." Barb picked it out.
We're going to talk about our extensive collection here of horse medallion and pony pieces. These are the ones that Carl suggested that we have. And I'm going to start with the green ice cream shaped footed bowl. And it's a little deeper. It's not maybe quite as aesthetic as the more shallow ones. It has the paneled exterior on this. This was a special piece because it came from the Snell collection. And then we've got a green unfooted collar base, and it has the horse chestnut back. It's not, we got this one early in our collecting and doesn't have any special background meaning to us. The horse, I thought probably that the ice cream shape was less common, but doing a little research, I found out that there were only 2 ice cream shape and 3 ruffled collar base bowls sold in the last 10 years or however long HOC's got it back to. And then we've got our Marigold Plate, and it too has the horse chestnut pattern on the back. Marigold's fairly easy to find. Amethyst, blue is next easiest, I believe, and then amethyst, and then there's powder blue. No backstory to that either. And our other piece is an amethyst pony bowl made by probably Diamond. It's suggested that it could be Dugan, but the lightness in the base color and the quality of iridescence makes me think it's Diamond. It's harder to find than Marigold. Marigold's fairly easy to find, but Amethyst isn't it quite as easy. And then there's, I think, powder blue too, and that aqua. And did you have another joke?
Yeah, I have another joke here that somebody found for me. So it's again about a talking horse. This man is walking through the countryside and happens to come upon this beautiful, large farm, and he's standing there admiring all the beautiful buildings and the manicured lawn and everything. And he notices off to one side that there's a sign that says, "For sale, talking horse." Now, he'd never heard of a talking horse before, so he was curious as to what that would be about. So he approached the farm and he found the owner and talked to the owner a little bit and said, "I'd be interested in seeing your talking horse." The owner says, "Okay, follow me." And into this wonderful, large white barn they come. And over in the corner is this beautiful stallion, a black, sleek-looking stallion just standing there. So the owner says, "Well, ask him anything you want to." So he walks over and asks the horse how he's doing. The horse says, "Oh, I'm just fine." Then he said, "Now tell me," he says, "just what have you done in your life?" The stallion says, "Well, to begin with, I worked in the Andes for a whole village full of people and helped them with most of their daily chores. Then later, I went into New York City and became a mounted horse for a patrolman and helped thousands and thousands of people. And finally, I came to this wonderful farm where every day we allow disadvantaged youth to ride me and have a good time." Well, the man was just totally impressed with what this horse had done and how he could talk and everything. So he went back to the farm or the owner and he said, "Now, sir, why on earth would you want to sell this horse?" Well, the farmer says, "Because he's a liar. He's never done any of those things."
I have one more thing to show, and it's a picture. I don't know if Dr. Steve had this picture. From what I understand, my mother, right away when she saw this picture, she said that's the name of the picture was the horse auction. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I've called it ever since. And I just thought it was interesting. Yeah. So that's our presentation.
Hello, this is another part of the ICGA virtual seminar on horse pieces. And we are now going to present to you some pieces from the Cronin collection. But before we get into the glass, I want to show you something that will not be in that slideshow. And I hope you can see this. This is a picture of our dear friend Becky, Mrs. Cronin, who is our secretary. And in her younger days, she was a horsewoman. And I do have a picture of her on one of the horses, and I think this was her favorite horse. So this will be a surprise, Becky, that I'm showing this picture of you. The first piece we have to show you is an Amethyst Nut Bowl, and you will see the front of the bowl and also the back of the bowl showing the wide panel and the 3 feet. The second item is a powder blue rose bowl, again showing the interior of the bowl. And if you look carefully at the feet and the bottom, you can see the beautiful powder blue color. The next item is a Vaseline or lime nut bowl. And Ben has been very good showing us the back and the base of the piece with the black light on it. And it fluoresces very, very nicely. The next piece that is shown from the Cronin collection is the amber footed bowl in the Jack in the Pulpit shape. And you can see the amber color in the base and the feet on that piece. Another piece that fluoresces nicely and is a little bit more toward the lime green color is a rose bowl in the lime green color. And the colors show very nicely in Ben's pictures. The next item is a non-iridized piece in pink. And very often you will find these non-iridized pieces in the depression glass colors, and you would possibly see the pink, and sometimes you will find a green in that depression color without the iridization. Another piece which I find extremely interesting is a green ice cream shaped footed bowl. And green is one of my favorite colors in Carnival, and this piece is very, very interesting. The next piece, which doesn't really do credit to the picture, is the brick red slag nut bowl. And I talked with Ben about this, and it is so dark red that it's almost impossible to see the color through it. And in photography, it just does not show the color at all. But it's a beautiful deep red slag nut bowl. The next is an aqua footed nut bowl, and you can see the aqua color in the feet on the exterior of the piece. The next is an extremely nicely patterned piece of horsehead in the flat plate in blue. And it also shows the berry and leaf circle exterior. And we're trying to find out who named it that exterior pattern. But the mold work on this is just exquisite. The next is another Vaseline piece showing the color with the black light on it, and it's in the Jack in the Pulpit footed bowl shape. And the last piece that we're showing you from the Cronin collection is a Marigold ice cream collar-based bowl. It looks like a deep bowl, and it also shows you the back pattern. The back pattern is interesting because it has a double ring around the outside, and below the pattern, it's all stippled. And
Rare shape.
And that is a rare shape, being in the deep ice cream shape. All right, we thank the Cronins for furnishing these items for us, and we were very happy that they have been able to buy these beautiful pieces of horsehead. And I will tell you, this is not all of their collection, but we selected what we thought would be the most presentable and interesting pieces for you to see. And we hope that you've enjoyed that. And be sure and thank the Cronins when you see them for their participation in our display room. Thank you.